which is it? See,
Tail back.
You fall back.
In the fall,
do you fall or do you set the, or does the clock
Spring,
fall?
you go forward.
All right, so
If
say
you
you're
spring, you go forward. If you fall, you come
all right.
back.
So let's say you're standing right here, and here's the clock. Do you jump ahead or do you jump backwards, or does the clock spring forward or the clock springs backwards?
You confuse me, Dee. What you do is
Yeah.
you fall or you spring. Which way you want to go?
Well, it's spring forward.
Then move ahead.
The clock or the person?
Oh, well,
You see what I'm
it takes me
saying?
a while to get caught up either way. How's that?
So, all right, so last night it was 12 o'clock. Time to set the clock back.
To
So
11?
we set the clock at 11.
Sure.
So the clock falls backwards, not the person,
That's right. That's right.
I guess.
I guess you got it right.
So-
I'm trying to follow you as you go, and you're making it too complicated.
Yeah,
Dee.
so-
Just move the clock back, and we'll have
Yeah.
to adjust to it. How's that? Whether we like it or whether we don't, we got to adjust every time.
Do people make some things too complicated?
Oh, we do. Life's too complicated.
Do we make it
You
complicated?
know these phones that I just laid over
Yeah.
here? It made life complicated.
What about microwave ovens?
Everything make life. Well, as we grew up, think of all the complications along the years that we saw. And we were talking earlier about, growing up and being around this community all our lives. What all's changed? What all has changed? Just drive down the road and tell me what all, you remember I used to ride around the village shopping center in my loud car when I was a kid? Circle the village, come up Keith Street.
What was at the village? Was that the quarter? That wasn't the Quarter Palace, was it?
I don't know, the game room. No, the bowling alley was downstairs, and you got all that. But
Was there a game room?
You hung out. You hung
Yeah.
out. That's where everybody hung out.
yeah.
It was the village, or up to 25th Street and down around McDonald's, down through there.
Parties,
That's-
Walmart parking
yeah,
lot.
Well, Walmart wasn't
You were
really
a
in
little.
existence.
You were a
Ahead of
little.
you. Yeah.
You were ahead of me a little bit.
Sure.
Not much.
Not much.
But you were ahead. You weren't ahead of me to the point where we didn't just ride around
Yeah, we
the
did.
park.
That's what we done. I mean, now you had to have my
Listen to
car.
the radio.
Yeah, listen to the radio, have a good time on
What was the
Friday
song?
and Saturday
What
night.
was the song on the radio?
Oh, I don't know. I go back to Commodores. I was a big Commodores fan.
Brick House.
Oh, Brick House is good. There's several of those songs. Steel by the Commodores.
Steel.
Many of those old groups. Remember the Bee Gees?
Oh yeah.
The Bee Gees
Did the
in
Bee
our
Ge-
time?
Did the Bee Gees make John Travolta, or does John Travolta make the Bee Gees? That's always been the big
I
question.
would say the Bee Gees made John Travolta.
I think so too.
That's my thought.
That's my thought. Because they were everywhere,
Sure they were. And it was good. They were good too.
and they all had the high
I started
voice.
a joke. Remember?
Who?
I started a joke. Remember the song? It started the whole world living. Yeah, you have to go back and listen to those Bee Gees songs.
That was before they became.
Yes, yes.
See, that was before Saturday Night Live.
That was good. It was. It's when the Bee Gees. So the Bee Gees were out there before Saturday Night Live.
Did you
And
go
they-
to the skating rink?
Which one?
The-
This one over here.
Yeah.
I started out going to S&S. S&S was up on Powerline Road.
Yeah.
Off 64
What's
Highway.
there right now?
Was Birds Electric? Is that where
Birds
Birds Electric is?
That's right.
Sure. I remember that because when my daddy was constable and actually worked security at some of those things. So he worked security at the S&S skating rink. He also worked security at the Cleveland Speedway. I stayed there. Just got into the Cleveland Speedway.
Was the S&S skating rink a rough place to be?
No, I don't remember it being rough. I remember a bunch of kids, and kids are going to be kids either way. Even back in the day, kids were kids.
But no
You
big
do
fighting.
mischievous things, but nothing really.
When you drove then, when people drove then, did they drive to the skating rink? Like now, if you could drive, you don't go to the skating rink. But kids don't even cruise like that anymore. What do they do?
I don't know. Stay home and play.
And when did it stop?
And play games on their phones.
They were cruising
or
around.
they play. And it wasn't a bad thing. Because
No.
even you can make that parallel to getting home from school and riding your bicycle playing outside till it's
Same
dark. And when you got a little older, you was cruising. I had a car, and I had to show that car
Yeah.
off and work to get that car. And my daddy never bought me a car. He helped
When
me
did
get
you
one.
start working?
I was 13, and My mama was head cashier at Gibson's Discount Center on Grove Avenue,
Gibson's.
behind the chef. And it was the Walmart of Cleveland at that time. You had groceries, hardware, sporting goods.
Didn't Batman come one time for a signing?
Oh,
Or
yes.
no, Robin.
Robin came.
Yeah.
Robin came, and they'd have all kinds of stuff there. And Mr. Gobble was the manager. Harry Gobble.
Harry Gobble.
Harry Gobble. And
I'm trying to place Harry Gobble.
good man. Good man. Let me tell you,
Oh, I know what it
you
is.
couldn't beat Harry Gobble.
Harry Gobble was Ted Gobble's cousin.
Is that what it was?
That's
cousin?
what it was.
Could very well be, and I don't want to
But
say.
Ted had a brother-in-law named Harry Douglas,
Okay.
and that's where he was the used to work on auto bodies.
Yeah.
That's what I was
And
saying.
I was 13 years old, and my mom was head cashier, and I'd just go in there and buy groceries, just have something to do, just to hang out after school. And
For
stuff.
tips?
Yeah, nothing. They'd give you tips if you take your groceries to the car back in the day. So, Mr. Gobble came up and said, "Do you want a job?" I said, "Yeah." So I went to work when I was 13, making $1.60 an hour. So that's what I was making then.
Did you have a regular schedule?
Yeah, he put me on a regular schedule. I worked every Saturday and Sunday. I mean,
Isn't that
I
something?
worked Wednesday, Thursday,
Was
Friday, Saturday,
Gibson's
Sunday.
open on Sundays?
Yes.
That was monumental for here, wasn't it?
It was. It was the place to go. I mean, you were packed at Gibson's, and then you had a garden center on top of that, just like Walmart. I mean, back in the day, it was the Walmart. That's what it was.
Even on Sundays, being open on Sundays was odd, right? For that
Well,
time?
it probably was, but I don't ever remember it being closed even before I didn't work there.
Because Cook's was closed on
Yeah,
Sunday.
it could very well be, but they were always open. I mean, and they had a business. They done the business.
I remember getting a fishing rod there when I was probably 6 or 8 years old. Had the plastic fish already on the hook. Remember?
Fishing rods,
So it must not have been a real one. It had
guns.
to-
They sold it all. You had guns. You had fishing rods. You had.
was
whole
that a
storage.
chain?
You know, I don't know whether it was chain or how it operated. I don't think it was chain. The Calfies, George Calfee, actually was the president of that, and I think it bled out from then. And Willard was part of that, Willard Calfee. So that all fit in, and Mr. Gobble worked for them, I think. So, yeah, I was blessed. I stayed there all through high school. I worked there every
From
day.
there time you was 13 through
13
high
through
school.
high school. Yes, I stayed at Gibson's Discount Center. Yeah.
Did you move up or still bagging?
Oh, I was running the gas station. I was doing hardware.
Well, they had a gas station.
I was his utility man.
Was it in the front?
Yeah, to the front, to the right. If I'm the building, it was to the right. Now,
You know, I believe those poles are still there, maybe.
29.9 was gas. 32.9. I mean, back in the day.
Did they have the whole building, pretty much?
Yeah, it was the whole building.
Was the movie theater next door?
No, not at that time.
It
Movie
was-
theater was actually over at the village, behind the village.
I went there.
And so that was where the movie theater
One
was at
show,
that time.
just one movie.
Yes.
You remember letting them out at the movies, and you had to walk out and go up those stairs. Remember
Huh?
that?
Oh yeah.
And wait on your ride.
How times have changed.
And wait on your ride.
Yep.
But what do young people do now? I don't even know where they're going. I mean, you don't even see them. Surely they're going on dates.
I guess, but they're just not as organized as we were back in the day. You knew everybody. Everybody was friends, more or less, I guess. And we had a good time, and
And somewhere in
was
the midst,
able to
but
rev our
you're
motors beside, even though my daddy was sheriff at the time. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't embarrass him, so I tried to keep in my line, but have friends as well.
was that tough?
Could be. I've been there before. At the
You didn't
old-
want to act like a
the
nerd.
old jail on 2nd Street, and some of my best friends from Bradley High School we brought in and have 3 bags of marijuana. And I'm going, oh my, and back in the day, I guess that was the drug we were going to. But I tried to treat everybody with respect and try to show respect to my dad as well.
Did you have any idea at that time that you would be sheriff?
Maybe a hint, because I knew I loved law enforcement. I loved hanging around. So I'd go to the jail every day after school at the time I had, even before I'd go to work.
Do you think if you'd have hung around at the church, you'd have been a preacher? If you'd hung around at Magic Chef, you'd have been a machinist?
I think my dad's influence had a whole lot to do with it. Just watching him, never was pressed to go one way or another. Just as I don't want to press my boys. It's up to them. I want you to do good in life, and however it falls, so may it be. But yeah, I think it did have an influence on me, but I looked at him and I guess he was my hero. And taking that and the way I went, I'm blessed and have been blessed over the years to have him as a mentor in my life.
But wonder why, sometimes we wonder if it's not, like my dad was an insurance agent. I didn't become an insurance salesman.
Sure. Gotta like it. You gotta like it. I could ride in a patrol car and just love it. And I thought, this is what I want to do. So that's where I started, straight from Gibson's Discount Center.
Oh, you didn't go to college?
No, well, I went to Cleveland State, yeah.
Law
I didn't-
enforcement.
not full-time
Law
college.
enforcement.
Yeah, I went straight in, and when I went to Cleveland State, or taking classes at Cleveland State, I was already dispatching. I started dispatching when I came out of high school.
Was dispatching, how did you have to know addresses?
You had to know a whole lot more. Technology's not there. Wasn't there then. All you had, at the county, the city had the NCIC and everything. We had to run NCIC and the checks through them. But the county only had a little console. And I was blessed to be the night shift dispatcher. Was there by myself. So actually I was the dispatcher, the jailer, the whole shooting match, and answering to a couple of cars that are on the road, or 3, whatever we had.
Maybe just 3 or 4 cars?
Oh, yeah, 4 would be great.
For the whole county?
Yeah, whole
How
county.
did they get out to Anderson Cabin Road, all the way out to Mount Zion Road, all the way out to Buck's Pocket?
As quick as they could, and they did pretty good.
And I hadn't even mentioned the other way.
But back up, you had a whole lot less populace here. A lot less people. So your call volume wasn't as such as it is today.
Well, there wasn't much going to happen down on Cedar Springs Church Road anyway, right?
No, and when you're on patrol, you remember you had limited places you could even get something to eat. We worked 12-hour shifts.
North-South truck stop?
North-South truck stop, Payne Gap truck stop, the Teddy Bear was generally about it.
What about the Payne Gap? Which one's Payne Gap?
Payne Gap was up on the hill. If you go out, start to go out of Cleveland, up on the hill on the left.
Well, if you're going south?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
Ed Moore Motors is there now on the left, going up the hill, go past Old Dairy Cream, you take a dip, go past Swarford's, you go on up on the left.
So it's not that, it's been gone a long time.
It's been gone.
Yeah. But I remember the Teddy Bear.
Yep, Teddy Bear. And then we thought we was blessed in Pruitt's food store in Grant City. You remember Grant City?
Pruitt's food store was...
It started opening and stay open all night, and you could go in there and get you some stuff, make sandwiches.
That was on 25th and Keith, right?
It was.
Troy Dixon worked there.
It was.
Stocked
It was
groceries.
back in the day. Yes.
Well, maybe they just took their lunch.
They did, or to go by the house and eat. And
Yeah.
I remember when my daddy was sheriff, and the deputies go to my mama's house and eat.
Oh, really?
She'd have dinner, and go by there. And she'd have dinner every evening.
Because there wasn't but 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah, that's it. That was it. Patrol.
What was the population then?
I'm going to guess it was less than half of what we got today, and you got 108,000 today. So I'm going to guess it's less than 50, because if you'll remember the prefixes on the tags. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we were 17 and 19 for a while, and we were number 17. McMinn County was 19, and we were pretty close in population. But then over the years, you've seen we've moved down to 13, and wherever we're at today, we're still right in there somewhere. But we broke away from McMinn County and got a lot bigger than them over the years.
But of course, we got the city. You don't have to patrol the city, right?
Well, you still answer the city, because we know when they count those votes, you answer the people in the city as well. You serve all the civil papers for the county, so there's a lot of, you serve jury summons, you serve whatever you need to do, so you still affect the city people, and you're there for them, and you can always work with it. And we work well with the city, so it's a compliment to both of us. If there's any problems, you'd probably never hear about them. We get them worked out before you ever hear about them.
Have they always had a good relationship?
You have to ask them always. I can tell you, since I've been sheriff, we have a good relationship. I can pick up the phone and call Mark Gibson. He can call me, or we can call any of the supervisors and make sure that we're doing the best we can do. You got to understand, I run a jail, and that jail is probably my biggest headache.
Yeah, if your dad had that, he might not have been the sheriff, and you might not have been the sheriff, because it's so much. It's a whole nother ballgame, isn't it?
It's changed completely because at the old jail on 2nd Street, you had 50, 60 inmates max.
How many cells?
How many what?
How many cells did they have for those?
I don't know. You had 3 floors. You had the basement, and we went in right before they demolished it the other day.
Yeah, I never went in.
Took a tour, and it's kind of amazing because downstairs there's a dungeon. I mean, if you acted up, that's where you went. There was nothing in it, just a little room. And what you done was you had cells downstairs, but it's exposed pipes.
Now,
Exposed pipes. So you can't. No way you can have exposed pipes today.
No,
because the suicide rate.
Yeah,
Because what
yeah.
they would need to do, and then you had the upper floor. The drunk tank was the middle floor was a drunk tank, and a few single cells, and then the upstairs was generally in the old jail was the felons, the people going to trial or going to the penitentiary.
So down on in the basement, was that like solitary confinement or something?
It was to a degree, but you also had trustees' quarters down there.
Oh,
So if you had trustees, they had a place down there, but you still had 2 or 3 just regular cells as well.
but it wasn't cold and damp or nothing like that.
Cold and damp?
Yeah,
I'd say
in
it
the
was cold
basement.
and damp. Well, it wasn't real good. I mean, it was an old jail. It was the jail of all jails. How's that? If you went to jail in Bradley County during that time, you knew you was in jail. Now, let me tell you, the food was good.
Who cooked the
Miss
food?
Mary Matthews out in Prospect, and she had cooked at the jail for years. But
How did she bring it?
there's a kitchen in there. And
Oh, the kitchen
she'd
in
go
the
in there
jail.
and cook, and it's just a regular stove and pinto beans and
Did she take
gravy and biscuits.
Did she take the tray to him?
We delivered trays. The trustees generally would
Have a
deliver
lid
the
on it,
trays.
or
Yeah, just same as we do today. I mean, they got lids. They take one lid off, and the trays cover each other. So they just give them a tray.
was the food better when she was doing it than did it have at the Bradley County Jail now?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, I know because that was home cooking. That was Miss Mary Matthews. Now you get into contracting your food out. Now don't think that. And I think anybody there will tell you. I go look the food every day because here's what I believe. It doesn't have to be a franchised restaurant food, but what it does have to be is decent because those people are human beings. And I expect it to be decent, and you have to hold people's feet to the fire. So some people might think I'm a little bit too much overbearing, but I'm going to get, you pay for it. And you empowered me to look over your taxpayer dollars to make sure we get the most out of every dollar that we can get, including taking care of the inmates.
And we don't have to mistreat them. They may not even be guilty yet, right?
You're right.
I guess.
You're right. Well, it was, you've heard you can go get a warrant on anybody.
Yeah.
I can go get a warrant on you today. Say, Dee Burris done me wrong, and I can go in and swear to it, even though I'm lying.
I'll be in jail tonight, and I won't
That's
get
right.
what they call it, arraigned in the morning.
You could very well be, or a bond be set if it's a misdemeanor. We'll get you a bond set, but you got to be very careful. Treat people with respect. Treat people the way you want to be treated, no matter who they are. Now,
Because if we don't, we become them.
yeah, but I'm not going to please everybody. I understand that, but I try to go through the jail every day I'm there and make sure things are right. And it's always my biggest headache, and I probably worry too much about it.
What worries you about it?
Something bad happening. The way drugs are today, fentanyl is the worst drug I've ever saw. I thought methamphetamine was over the years. But fentanyl is the worst drug
Is
I've ever
meth
saw.
still out there?
Meth is still out there.
So why is the spotlight off of meth and on
No,
fentanyl now?
Spotlight's not off of meth, but what Spotlight is on should be on everything on the street. If you buy even marijuana, okay, if you buy it off the street today, used to, and I said this the other day, we used to teach to our kids, don't get hooked on drugs. Now we better teach them, if you buy it off the street, you never know about it, and you could die.
Even if it's rice, a bag of rice.
Simply because of this. They take fentanyl, and what they do is lace it with fentanyl to try to get you in. Maybe they'll go overboard here and add a little too much fentanyl, and you will go out. You will be gone. And it will kill you, maybe even on your first attempt at drugs.
But why is it there? It's that much worse than meth.
Absolutely. I mean, meth is bad. No, meth. I mean, come on. It
Can they get
contaminates
off?
your walls? You know, remember the old meth labs?
They
the
don't
red
have
pea
they don't
labs,
have
or-
teeth. They grind their
Bad.
teeth
It's
off.
bad. It's bad, but fentanyl will kill you in a minute. I have to be careful with my officers and can't let them handle fentanyl. Be very careful. Double bag everything. Keep it away from you because, listen, I posted on the Sheriff's Office Facebook page the other day a video, and you ought to watch it. Dead on Arrival. And it's the stories of 4 families that go through deaths of their kin and just trying something that they thought was a pill that wasn't a pill, that was actually fentanyl. It will kill you in a second. And we need to relay that. We need to relay that. And I said the other day at the event at the Greenway, the Light the Night event, as long as I'm your sheriff, we're going to start early with kids in school. The DARE program we got now, don't be surprised if I come along with a stronger program. We got to get to them. So I visited every school myself as well. I just started school here this year. I had to back it off because of COVID, but tried to go see those kids and make sure that SROs have a line of communication. Mm-hmm. They may tell them something they need to know.
Sure.
They're not only there to protect them, they're there for a line of communication to build rapport with those kids if they need them. Does that make sense?
They're almost a counselor.
Yeah, they are. They're what they are.
They're the guy. They're the guy. They're the guy in the at the playground that's got the whistle.
Yes.
Y'all stop.
Absolutely. But they're also the guy there that's got the ear.
We
that
never
you can
had
build
that
rapport.
going to school.
You didn't.
Should
But
we-
go back to Dan
should
Gilly.
we have-
Now let me give credit where it's due here. Dan Gilly got that started, the SROs, and we had one in every school.
Of course, it was getting to be time.
Yes.
Why
But
didn't
we
they
were
have
way
it?
ahead. He put us way ahead into getting that done. So when I took office, here's where we were. We had an SRO in every elementary school, middle school, and high school. So what I thought was the need in high schools to double that. So what we have now at Walker Valley and Bradley is 2 SROs. And we also I have a male and a female in Bradley. I only got 2 males in Walker Valley, but I also have a retired officer at the gate. So actually, if you have any problem there, you have 3 people that's been in law enforcement, or at least a 3rd one that could help out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and why do we need that now today, and we didn't then, or did
Times
we?
change, brother. I mean, the overdoses in jail. I mean, they'll sneak that stuff in the jail. We put in a body scanner now. I mean, you go through, it's like going through the airport.
What's the point of anybody selling this stuff? Now they
Selling it is dollars.
Well, what about
It's across the border down
what about
here.
fentanyl?
That's it, dollars. I mean, most of your fentanyl
It's
now
not
is
coming from
imported.
China or nothing
If you
crazy.
put it in your body and it's drugs, it better come from your doctor or the pharmacy. Or
And
your
that's
medical.
risky.
Are you going? Yes. Are you going
Maybe.
to take a big risk when you buy anything off the street?
You know, one reason I never got into a lot of that stuff, maybe, I'm sure it was church, but that guy from Chattanooga used to come and give all those talks. Remember him? Cup, that was his name.
John Cup.
Whatever happened to him?
I think I don't know. I think he's still alive. But John Cupp was a good.
He's the reason I never tried anything.
But he was a good speaker. He
He
made a
was.
lot of presentations.
He had a
all over
passion
the-
about it.
Yes.
Was he the sheriff?
He was.
Boy, he had a real
Good
passion
fella.
about it.
John Cupp was a good fella.
Now, but I don't know if people are going to try stuff. There's not a whole lot you can do. But alcohol is bad too. They get drunk driving and run into somebody.
Just told my wife a few minutes ago, was come home from church, and I said, I'll never bend from we don't need to drink and drive. Mm-hmm. You know why? Because it might be your son that they run over tonight.
Yeah.
It might be somebody, and you don't. I don't think it's okay for anybody to drink and drive. Mm-hmm. Just let me put it out there, and that may not be real popular, but you need to think about it, folks. It can cause you disaster in your life, in that family's life, or whoever it affects. And it's just not worth it, period.
It's not worth it.
Zilch. I mean, if there's a place and time for everything, and driving is not one of those, it goes in that equation. That's what I think.
driving, you're too subject to hurting somebody else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Why do you have the? What do you think is the main reason you want to be sheriff?
You know, not just because sheriff. I mean, it doesn't make me a better person. I think I have been around and worked under 6 different administrations, as well as director of the Drug Task Force. And it's about not only representing, understand it's your tax dollars I'm operating with. I've got to be smart in using those tax dollars.
Did your dad have that obligation? Did that worry him? It seems like every time I get...
Yeah, but here's the difference. I'm sure it did. But I think his budget, and you'll have to ask Dan Gelly, but I believe his budget was like $700 and something thousand for the entire sheriff's office back then.
But was it in proportion? I mean,
I don't know. Today we've got a...
It seems like every sheriff for the past, since I was a teenager now, has to almost be a businessman.
It's changed over. And it's changed over. You go back in store, Doc German, we were talking about one of
Yeah.
Doc German told me at the nursing home, and Doc just passed away, and I had much respect for him and his family.
He's a nice
But
guy.
when I saw him, he brought up a story about he had a car lot on Spring Place Road, and it's right there just past Kyle Lake Road for years. Mm-hmm. What was it called? Rebel Motors?
I think so.
Doc
Rebel
German.
Motors, yeah.
And he
said,
walked
home.
They kept breaking in my place, and I told your daddy, he was sheriff. He said, Lamar, they're just not checking my building, I don't think. He says, well, I just sat out there the next night and seen. He said, Lamar come and checked it either 6 or 8 times. Himself. He said he showed up. So I think that was the law enforcement end. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he was probably the best detective I ever saw, because they could break into your house over on this side of town, and he would say, bring me so-and-so up here, let me talk to him. Mm-hmm. And he had a knack as to who's going to be responsible.
And it was smaller, too.
Yeah, it was. You had that little group.
Yeah.
But now you've got bigger. The budget was, what did I say, $700-something thousand probably back then. And now you're dealing with $18 million.
Here's the problem I've got. I had it happen this week. I had a painter quit working for me. Went to haul a truck for somebody. He'll probably be back.
Sure.
But I got to thinking, when you were coming, I knew you were coming today, I thought, he's got to have this happen too. I mean, this painter leaving me this week it's been, I can't tell you how devastating that's been to me.
Absolutely.
And I think, well, I've got to do this and this and this, and it's devastating.
I'll say this, and many people are affected the day we're in today about people leaving work and not being able to get people to work. Over the years, I don't ever remember the sheriff's office not having applications and have to wait in line for a patrol job. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, I remember when I was growing up, it was an honor to get chosen to fill out an application.
Until this pandemic. And now today, I can tell you, when we started looking, I had zero applications to be a deputy sheriff.
Yeah, you're asking them to work cheap and be a target.
Absolutely. And then Collegedale PD, and I'll just go ahead and say their name, they stummed out with this starting pay, which is $11,000 more than we're paying. $11,000 more to start.
Why do they do that? They
got money.
They got to that point.
But everybody in Chattanooga PD ups their starting pay 24%, and I don't know what that is. Don't even know what they make. Know it's a whole lot more than us. So there's more attractive jobs if you're young and you're out of the academy. So what I had to do was this: if I bring people out of corrections that have done their time, and I have a job opening, I do interdepartment. I test them 3 ways. And I don't have anything to do with it. They bring me the top score. And it's interview, the firearms and physical. Be ready to go if we call your name, if you put in and want to go to patrol from corrections. So we test those people, and then they come to me after all that process and say, Sheriff, here's 1, 2, and 3. I'll never get away from that, because I think that's the only fair way for me to do it, to give everybody a shot. Does that make sense?
I don't know how else to do it.
So I take the number 1.
Yeah.
But what I had to do was, I couldn't have any applications, so I said, go back and pull me the test, and I'm going down to number 2. And I pulled number 2 out all the way across the board. So today at Cleveland State in the academy, I have 4 people, 3 which come out of corrections, going through the academy. I think they're got maybe a little over 3 weeks left to finish. So we'll be able to get them on the road, and then they'll have to go through the FTO, Field Training Officer Program. But it's taken a while to get people there. That's on patrol side. On correction side, it's always a fight. We don't pay people but $33,000. Now, up that pay from 29, so it's up to go.
I'll be honest with you. I was renting to a lady that worked there. She couldn't even pay her rent.
Well, it's a struggle. And we got to work on benefits as well. I'm just being honest. And this is not, and I've told this to the mayor and commissioners.
And you know, we all do. We're not just talking about that. I'm talking about.
Here's my 3-phase plan for pay. And I hope it's right. First of all, I was able to go in within my budget and give the non-ranking officers on both post, which is a patrol side, post certified, and TCI in the jail, $1,500 added to their salaries.
A year?
Does that make sense? Yes. But listen to me. That's within my budget.
Oh,
that's what I done.
Yeah.
I was able to cut this or cut a corner here and give them $1,500 a piece. That's not much. That's a sack full at the Crystal or a Happy Meal. It's not much. So my second thing is I was sent back to see. I knew this was going to get a bonus of this federal money. I'll see how much they got to hold them over. They don't understand that's a one-shot deal. They need it. They need it. Go see what they make. It's ridiculous what we're paying them. But then I told the mayor and I told the commission, come budget time, I will be laying out a pay plan. We got away at the sheriff's office from a state plan years ago and laid it aside when they thought it would come back the next year to honor their service, the longevity. Yeah. It ought to mean something. Yeah. We ought to, those people, somebody who's been here 10 years ought to make more than the person
as they get more experience, they have a more reason to stay.
It's something like guaranteeing them something every year so that they've got a small step ladder to go up so you know you got something to look forward to.
Right.
If we don't get there, I don't want to take us to the top. We can't compete with some of these people. But what we can do is use common sense, work together, and come up with a plan that'll take us up the middle.
Well, on my end, I got to have the painter next week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do whatever I've got to do.
You're right. Yeah. And you got to do it.
Yeah. So
listen, I've
got to do it.
Listen, during COVID, I would worry myself sick. You know, and I've almost put that in neutral. And let me tell you why I don't worry myself sick. And I'm going to have to quit worrying so much. Because I say this. I'm there and I'm serving you and I'm doing the best job I can do. I'm going to do you the best I can do. That's what I got to offer. The best I can do.
If it keeps going at the rate it's going, I'm going to be painting and you're going to be patrolling.
Oh, we could be on the patrol. We could be patrolling anytime. I told my command staff, get ready, folks.
Yeah.
Get in the car, especially during COVID when we was having so many cases.
Yeah.
You know, not only in the jail initially, 30 some odd cases, which I'm going, what? And nobody was symptomatic. So I don't know. See, I'm still wondering about all this stuff anyway.
Yeah, you don't know.
But then I felt like I had to offer them testing to see where we're at. And I did, and then we were able to get it under control. And I think we had one brought in the other night, which said he was positive, and we still hadn't got it. It showed negative on our test, but he said he tested somewhere else positive.
Did you ever walk in and see somebody and said, now they're sick? They need to. Where do they go if they get sick?
Where?
Well, I mean, I mean the inmates. My wife got COVID. She had to stay in bed. What would an inmate do?
Well, I got a place. We were able to get our numbers down enough. General Crump and the judges worked with me, and we were able to get our numbers down. And I can give you. Here's the real numbers.
Who did you say, General Crump?
General Crump.
Is that what you call him?
Yeah.
General Crump.
General. Yeah. But what we did
Attorney
was,
General.
the night I took office in 2018, you got to understand that. Here we go. 510 bed facility overall. That's what we have. 510. The night I walked in the jail when I took over in 2018, we had 581.
All right, now 581 to 510 is 70 what?
Over.
Where do they
You
sleep?
got them on floors. You got them wherever you can put them.
On a mattress?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you got to give them a mattress. Yeah, you got to get them
So
a
you had
mattress.
a
So they got
500
little cots, little boats, they call them. Little boats, little cot things you can put in there for them. Yeah. But that's what we had. And we got up to 604 because the state wouldn't take any of our inmates. They were full.
Now, were these people hardened criminals, or were they caught with an ounce of marijuana?
Well, here you go. The Bradley County has a contract with federal government where we housed 100 inmates. However, that was in 2004, which I don't know how long we're going to be able to keep that. It does pay good money. However, do we want to, you got to decide, do we want to do that and be liable to add on to the jail? Where are we going to go in the future? We've got to plan ahead as to what we're going to do. So I went to the county commission with our 100 contract and said I want to renegotiate this and at least cut it in half and raise the money up. Raise per individual inmate, we were getting paid $58 a day, federal inmate. So we never kept 100. We 60 somewhere in there. So I told them, I said, let's raise the dollar amount, ask them to pay us, and we got 64, 58, 64, $6 a day per inmate. Makes sense? And I lowered from 100 down to 50. So I'm staying right at 50.
So they can bring you as many as 50.
We're getting $6 more. Yeah, and I think I had 46 Friday.
So there may be a guy that's going to the jail and he's in Alabama. They may choose that they want to bring him here.
Yep, it's federal inmate.
And you got to take
sure.
it.
Unless
They may be
unless
pulling
I
up-
get to my capacity.
They may be pulling them up right now as we
And
speak.
I'll even take extras. I agreed with them off contract that if I had room and were able to stay within our threshold of inmates, that I would take extra. But when it got down to we were full, because COVID kept us down, but now we've had to open the jail back up, so we're going to start getting full again.
What happens when you get too many there and you don't even? I mean, you're a 583 mattress.
Bottom end people, you said.
Yeah.
Then I go to the judges and we look at those minor crimes. What can we do different? See, I believe we need to come up with the program. You know, these people that we put in jail for really minor crimes, give them the opportunity to come down and pick us litter up on the side of the roads on Saturday mornings.
They'd be
and
glad
have a
to
crew.
do it.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
And if the judges will work with me and we can get that done, that would be wonderful to have different avenues that we don't have to house them. Average cost to house an inmate that I got, and it's probably up now, was $73, a little over $73 a day for every local jail in Tennessee.
It's costing me as a
Absolutely.
taxpayer $73 to keep this guy off the street that I don't even care if he is anyway.
That's figuring in all the costs that it takes.
Have him come help me paint.
$73.18. And the workhouse, they built the workhouse, but the workhouse has really never worked.
But now you say the judge is working with you. Who brought him to the jail? You're the one that brought him.
We had to bring them, but we're bound to arrest people on criminal charges.
On whatever
if my officers stop somebody today and they call 911 and they search the NCIC or locals for them and they got warrants on them, we're bound to bring them. And you know, you got to bring them to jail.
But you're not taking. You're not. Of course, all you're doing is policing the rules that are set up.
That's it.
If it's illegal to drink out of a white cup, you'd have to arrest me, whether you agreed with it or not. Am I right?
Yes. Well, yes. I hope officers can make some
But I mean,
discretion somewhere. I empower them to use discretion.
But theoretically.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And they expect them, and some people, I think we can find alternative forms of doing stuff with low-class offenders. Give them opportunity to come out here and work a little bit. You remember the old work gang?
I remember, yeah.
Yeah,
I had Ed Lewis here. Ed Lewis started it.
Sunset.
Wasn't it Ed Lewis? No, Ed Lewis managed it.
Yeah, but
he talked about it.
Years ago, the workhouse itself was on, right past Cook's.
Yeah, that's where Ed Lewis built that.
Yeah. But now, see, you've got to get in now, and we spend money. We spend up in over $1 million for inmate medical. It's 24-hour medical. You got a doctor that comes in once a week. You got a dentist that comes in. You've got
So a doctor comes once a week?
Yes.
Now, say I'm in the jail and I've got all the symptoms my wife had of COVID.
Yes.
They need to be in care.
I got an RN that oversees it, who's my head nurse.
Do they go to another room?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We still are able to keep people isolated because what I have is two. If you come in the jail on charges, then you go to an isolation cell first. You go to 2 pods, which both men's and women's. You stay for so many days.
And see if you got
yes,
COVID.
Just to be
Before
safe.
that, you didn't have to do that, right?
No, we didn't do it. We didn't do it because you didn't have the room. We got down in numbers. See, we were running around 400. But now since I've opened it back up this morning, we had 423.
Who called you and said we got 423?
Every day they send me a message. How many we got in jail. And also send it to, because I've met with the judges before we ever opened back up by Zoom, and they agreed and tried to keep the numbers down instead of us getting overinflated in this county. So what I do is every morning we get automated email, the judges included, as to where we're at in numbers.
So kind of
If
like
they go into court today, they know that we have 423 inmates out of possible 510 beds.
so they can throttle
Yes.
it.
There you go. And they work with me. Generally, everybody works together, and we've done pretty good so far. We'll see, and I've told the county commission if I get to 510, I will be before you and say we got a problem. Now, what are we going to do? Because we got to look at liability-wise as well as where we're at in housing inmates.
Boy, that's a job you got. Did you think to yourself, boy, this is worse, this is a bigger job than I thought? Did you ever have that moment?
It's a lot of moving parts. Does that make sense?
Did you know it was?
Yeah, but yeah, I probably knew it was. I mean, you got the jail, which is the biggest moving part. You got patrol. You got Johnny speeding out here. You got the drugs. You got the schools, which we have a threat assessment team.
You got the judges. You got
judges.
court there.
You got it all, and it can be. You got to have good people around you that will address some of that and buffer it. Because there's no way you can address it all head on. You try to hit the highlights. You try to hear what you need to hear. You got evidence. Nobody think evidence is a big thing. You got to make sure everything's going there. You got it all. I mean, it's a spinning wheel, and sometimes you'll get a hiccup that you have to address.
You know, when you get to where you're in management, you can hear all that stuff, and it can go in one and out the other. But you can hear that one little thing, and your ears pop up. You know it's a problem. You have that experience?
Yeah.
You know, like you can just kind of not paying, but all of a sudden you hear, uh-oh, that's a problem.
In addition to, and you're a contractor, a lot of the problems we've seen at the jail, replacing equipment, we ought to have a annual inspection of every one of our facilities or our annual maintenance plan for every building we own. We started putting a roof on, divided into 5 sections. I've got going into section number 2 now, which I'm proud of. We've put in a new hot water heater system. We had 3 old boilers.
People don't realize how much maintenance is an expense.
No, 3 old boilers, and one of them had been shut down when I took office for 10 years because it started leaking, and they were running 2, and they were leaking. So what I done is started looking, what are we going to do? We kept the boiler had been shut down. We were able to fix it, keep it as an extra, and then I took the other 2 out and put in a tankless hot water heater system for the rest of the jail, which would come out a lot cheaper, but we can replace one of those tanks for $2,000 if it goes out instead of the $150 each boiler cost.
Plus, you had to make sure the yard's mowed.
The yard's mowed. The front was falling off. The awning there was a gap about like this, about a foot wide at the top. We had to have it redone. We just got it redone. There's a whole lot of different things that have to be done to the building to keep it up. It's your building. It's not mine. You've hired me to manage that place.
And we thought we were just hiring a sheriff.
You thought you were.
But it's more than that.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It is a lot. And to make sure you do things within the jail.
Even toilet paper.
Showers will get you on. I've had stainless trying to do the sides in stainless as we go.
How do
as we
they
can
know
pay
when
for it.
they have a? How do they take showers there?
Well, it's in the pods. You have 4 or 5 showers in the pods, and they let them out at a time to
Incrementally?
take showers. Yes. And so that's like same thing. They have programs. They have educational programs. We're got GED classes. We've had over 50. Since I've been sheriff.
Who's in
Got
charge
those
of
GED.
that?
Alan Ledford handles the educational side of it for me.
I mean, the whole. I'd like to hear somebody talk about the whole ins and because that's a whole nother thing, isn't it?
Oh, it's what, the jail itself?
Yeah, I mean, isn't that a
it's
whole?
It's something else.
You have preachers come.
No, you got preachers. You got your
Plus
And now
counselors.
listen, we had to back off in COVID. Don't get me, but now
Sure.
I've got them back, and we're starting to get stronger as we go. And then you got the educational thing, and we're going to start first of the year. We're going to start a CDL license, as to where they'll have opportunity. All we can do is give them the opportunity to get better. We can encourage them along the way. They're human beings. If they really want to get better, let's give them the mechanisms to get better. So we teach anything from parenting all the way up to CDL license to their GED. And I won't let them drive while they're in there. The only thing they'll like is hooking up and driving when they get out. Does that make sense?
Do they have salt and pepper?
Yeah. Generally, I make sure the food seasoned. That's what I've said down with my trustees in the laundry room the other day. I said, "Is that food seasoned? Because if it ain't seasoned good,
yeah.
it's not. Let's make sure it is."
Yeah. There's no need in being cruel, is there?
We're not going to be cruel.
Remember that?
I mean, some people will say, "I'm sure we are."
What about
But
the guy in
it's
Texas?
but it's jail.
What about the guy in Texas that?
Oh yeah, the tent guy, Sheriff Joe.
Yeah, because he's real rough on him, isn't he?
He was. Is he? I think he's not. I don't think he's sheriff anymore. Is he? People
can't-
still talk about him because of the tents.
The tents. and
Yeah.
He
But
ran
yeah,
around.
yeah.
I don't have the need to do that to people.
Well, no. Listen, that could be your kid.
Yeah.
Just like I said, one could get run over DUI. Let's make sure that we're right. Let's treat people with respect along the way. Some you can't. And then
Remember on Andy Griffith when they had that guy in town, all the drunks from the other towns came over and said, "This is the best jail in the area."
jail in there.
Yeah.
I seen one the other day. The inspectors come. The inspectors are coming. So.
Yeah. Who inspects yours?
TCI.
Is that
Surprise once a year.
so? Is this because it's a federal? You have federal
no,
prison.
state. Yeah.
What about
And
federal?
a federal inspection as well. Federal marshals come and inspect you. You have 2 different inspections. TCI is the one they'll show up unannounced. You got to make sure you got all your fire stuff together, everything, all your inspections together, the generator outside. Everything has to be done. I actually brought a girl back that worked there, and she's over compliance. And her job is to make sure we're ready for inspections and to make sure that we're doing things right and where we need to get better or do we need to get better. She also takes care of training. But she's good, and for the last 2 inspections, knock on wood, we passed them on first reading. We'll see how it goes. It's tough. You try to stay on top of the game. I try to make sure the floors shine and the hallways. You're proud of them if you look down the hallways. But we're pretty much blessed as to where we're at. But it's still jail.
It's a big job. It
is.
makes my head hurt just thinking about it. Do they have a meeting for the patrolmen before they go out like they do on TV? Now, guys,
The
today
roll
we're
call?
yeah.
Generally they would. And we backed off some of that during COVID too, because we was trying just to keep everybody healthy. But to get together and share what's happened the previous shift, what we're looking for. So and so's out of town. This is an extra business check.
I guess besides maybe the schools, and that's just maybe, you had the absolute hardest job during COVID because you had people that you couldn't say, okay, everybody get 10 feet apart because they'd love that. They'd just leave, right? I mean, you had...
Oh, yeah, you're right together. I mean, you had to notice and try to keep the isolation pods and
But I
quarantine,
mean,
and quarantine people and put them together. If you had, we had, let's see, I guess it's been 4 weeks ago, we probably had 8, and we had a dorm, an open dorm where we put all those people that were infected.
So they were just they had beds there?
Yeah, Oh yeah.
So was that was there ever a time when you thought, what are we going to do with all these people that's got COVID?
30. We had 30 something
30.
at one time. Yes.
And they could have
Initially, that was when the initial wave come through.
And they could have affected some other
yeah.
people.
You had to stay on top of it. Worried,
Did it make you nervous?
Yeah, it made you nervous. You're responsible for those people. No matter who the sheriff is, there's one name that's at the top of the organization there. And that's going to come back to you. The good or the bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if you have somebody come in that's overdosed and has ingested their drugs, and we've had them, and died, we didn't know. I mean, I don't know that all I can ask you is questions. And if you go out and then later on we find out how much you ingested of methamphetamine that was enough to kill 5 people.
And let's face it.
How do you know? You never know. And that's what I worry about. Does that make sense? Or somebody in there, since I took office, we've put in a full-time mental health therapist and a mental health doctor that comes in 8 hours a week. Therapist and doctor, we got that. I mean, it's sometimes I go in booking, it's like a holding place for mental health.
Yeah, because
it is. It's where it is in booking, and you have to do your checks every 15 minutes to make sure they're okay, and you have to. So being a correction, and those people are really the ones that are forgotten, the corrections officers, and we want to pay them very little.
That's what my point was.
But let me tell you, that's a tough job. Go try to do that job day in and day out. And they're the unsung heroes of the sheriff's office, just being fair, because they have to do it day in and day out, and they make very little.
What does that job pay?
I raised the pay. When I took office, that job was paying $29,000.
So $500 a week.
And I have raised it now to 33.
So what would that be a week, Glick?
It's not a whole lot, but you got to figure up if you got to have family insurance.
That comes out of it, right?
$1,004
a month.
Yes.
That comes out of it.
Yeah, it's got to come away from that. So where does that put them? Think about it. And you know what the inflation rate is, and there's no way we're keeping up. That's why not only do I represent the taxpayers of this county, but I've got to come up with a reasonable plan. What are we going to do in the future? And work with the commission and work with everybody. I've told the commission, I'll come in with a reasonable pay plan and you can tweak it. You can do whatever you wish. You don't have to pass it. But it's my responsibility as a leader of this organization to look at what they really need. I looked at, when I was campaigning for this job, I addressed officer safety. And we've got body cams now for all the patrol. We've got most of the patrol cars have good cameras in them. And, we got dual shot tasers the other day, which the county commission.
Dual shot, what does that mean?
2 shots.
2 shots.
2 shots. And they shoot. And I didn't know how weak our tasers was till I got in there comparing the two, the new one. And we could get in trouble, but not even penetrating you. So if we put officers on the streets, we ought to give them the best equipment to defend themselves with, or keep from having to use deadly force.
I think
maybe if that taser shoots hard enough, that'll keep you from having to pull your gun.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you don't want to do
have to
that.
use deadly force, let's keep them. But the county commission and mayor, let me compliment them, because we have got better in officer safety. Whoever thought the body cams that we'll never be able to go back?
No.
Because they will tell me the truth one way or another. If an officer's accused of something, I can go look and say, wait, that's not exactly.
It's almost like
truth.
having a third person there.
Yes, but it's wonderful. I've got one guy that oversees now all the videos, and he does a great job.
He just sits all day and watches that?
He can organize. He keeps everything organized, from the body cams to the car videos to anything. And if I need to see anything, if I go in tomorrow morning.
He keeps them logged somehow?
He keeps it on his he's got it at his fingertips. And what he does is keep everything categorized and everything lined up. And I can say there was a stop on. He said, I'll send it to you. And he can have it on my computer by the time I get to the office and have it to where I can see what happened.
Do you have to review a lot of them?
I do.
Golly.
I do it, and it takes care of the officer, or it takes care of the public. It tells me the truth.
If you
something
get it,
needs
if
to be
there's a
tweaked,
complaint,
if there's a complaint and it's validated, then we address it. If it's not, I can tell them that's not exactly what happened. So it's a good mechanism for me, but it's also a good thing for them. Imagine, when I was campaigning, I remember being at McDonald Ruatan Club speaking, and I said, now, if your daughter or son works for me, and I'm the sheriff, and I put them over on Bancroft Road, and somebody has come off Bancroft Road in Ooltewah and comes up through there, we stop them. Your daughter or son stops them, and they get out, and their camera's not working. In the worst case scenario, they get shot by the bad guy. And we have no video. We have nothing. We have nothing. Am I really representing my officers as sheriff if I don't speak up and try to make all this better first?
not in today's age.
So in the times I really have focused on officer safety in my first term, if I'm allowed to serve the second term, it'll be more toward the employees. What are we going to do to keep and retain good employees in their training? I'll tell you that our solving crime in this county and clearing crimes, and you can go check the TBI, it's on the TBI website. Ours is right at 70% clearance of all crimes reported in Bradley County. Burglaries, which I really pay attention to because I believe today if they go in your house while we're here, that's one of the most violent crimes because they're taking your castle and violating you. So I pay attention to those. So burglaries, we were at last year right at 54% clearance. Nobody compares to that. So we have good people. We have good people, even at the sheriff's office, their investigators, as well as the police department. I would want nobody else around here to investigate other than them. They can get the job done. They know what to do. I supervise those people directly. I know what they can do. So we got to retain those people. Does that make sense? If we train them, they're here, we got to retain those people and pay them decent monies in the years to come, or come up with a plan that we can slowly, gradually keep them as far as longevity pay.
I almost think, and this is just my dumb thinking, but if there was a line item, they say, okay, here's your property taxes. Here's property taxes for the county. And this section is for law enforcement. I'd actually be a little better. They could raise that figure more than they could raise this other figure.
Nobody wants to talk about their property taxes.
But I'm saying, if you just had
But here's what people will do. And what you're saying is this. As long as it's going for something and they know what it's going for, if it's for first responders in this county, people will work with you, and I'm not going to push anything on anybody. I'm not going to go file any suits. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just not. But what I will do is lay out what I think is real and what needs to happen for us to keep good first responders in this county. And we argue with Williamson County that we're one of the most conservative county, or are the most conservative county in this state. Then we ought to step forward and take care of every first responder here. I believe that. Times have changed, and the climate against law enforcement officers can be great in other areas, as you well know. Minneapolis, they're trying to defund the police and all that. But we're blessed to live in this community where we do have the backing. There's no doubt in my mind. We have the backing. It shows because they take care of our officers. They just do. They show up at the office to take care of them, to do things in different ways.
But I'm saying people don't care to pay more money if it's going to law enforcement.
If they know where it's going.
If it's going to education, if it's going to roads,
You have to define for people and be fair to them and tell them exactly where it's going and what we need to do. And that's all I can do, and it's up to them to make the decision.
And just do the best you can.
That's it. We'll always do the best we can with what we got.
Do we have a picture of the first sheriff from Bradley County? Let's ask
Israel
ourselves,
Smith.
did he have that same problem?
Israel Smith.
Now, what was it before him?
I don't know.
I mean, were we not a county?
You got a little reflection there.
Which one's him?
It's back. I think you were on the. That's. You should have had Israel
1912. No.
There's O.J. Lawson.
The O.J. Lawson. Now that was A.J.'s.
Now they tell me that he was on back, but he is kin to us, and people ask me about his name. He went by Ob Lawson.
Which one's, which one, do you have the first one, Gwen?
Israel Smith.
Israel Smith.
There it is.
No,
There you go.
1990. No, that's
Sure. Yeah.
Israel Smith.
Killed
No,
the
I
lion.
thought there was an 1858.
I think Israel Smith's the first one. I think he's the first sheriff.
No, that's the first one we had a picture of. It was like 1858, 56.
Don't know that. They're all hanging. Did you get those from the jail?
Yeah.
Is that where you went into
No, I went into the
the
lobby.
lobby?
There. Yeah.
Took 'em? Yeah. There's actually a list.
He
on-
was killed in the line of duty.
Yeah.
That was prior. Do you know how he was killed?
I think a whiskey still down at McDonald's. I think it's down at McDonald's. Somebody could give you. I know some
The
people
exact
around
location?
Here, some people around here have all that information. Have done research. And
Well, he should have let
done a
it go.
history study.
Should he-
Nah, that was the thing back in the day. Such as he went through.
This
the
guy
different
here,
drugs.
Brian, I wonder if that's related to the
I don't know.
people on the Rebel.
I don't know.
You know, you could
You don't
grease
know. You don't know who's who.
OJ. They called him what?
Ob
Ob?
Lawson. Yes.
He looks like a guy that would just walk right into this room. He doesn't even look like a
No.
old guy at all,
No,
does he?
No.
High singer, I don't remember nothing.
It's good to get on.
He was around
Yeah.
the Depression.
That's
He looks like a high
1952,
singer, doesn't he?
54. Yeah. Go on up. You got the next one. Barker.
Barger, now that was
Yep.
that's getting into our,
Yes, the Bargers.
We always hear their
Barker.
name, yeah. The county commissioner, right?
Yeah.
He was.
He was this.
And then Bud Cash, I've heard that name my whole life and never
too.
been,
and know some of the Cashes, yeah, that were kin to him.
1950, he's got it. Now this,
Rich Alford, that's Louis's daddy and Dickie's daddy.
I know, yeah.
Yeah,
He
that's
looks
their
like
that's
Dickie,
their
doesn't
daddy.
he?
Yes.
Now he's county commissioner.
Louis is.
Louis, yeah.
is. And Pierce.
Sheriff, that
yeah.
would be Francis Pierce's,
Don't
I
know
guess,
how he's-
maybe.
No, I don't know.
1958.
All these
That,
people-
when was you born?
58.
So that was
Paul Jones.
Paul Jones. I don't remember him.
I've heard a lot of these people, but as far as me being around.
Now,
anyway.
now
Sam Cannon was-
I ate breakfast with Sam.
Sam Cannon was. Yeah.
He was two-termer.
Yeah, he actually. Well, no, what you done now? You had. You see, 1960 to 66.
Yeah.
You could only serve 6 years. At a
And
time.
then-
there
and
were
then-
2-year terms, 3 terms.
He was a good-looking guy, wasn't
Yeah, 3 terms. And Sam Cannon was a handful. He was Phil's daddy. There's
he? Yeah.
Wendell
Now they
Davis.
say Wendell Charlie McKenzie said that we didn't have to train him. He already drank and ran around with women.
Wendell Davis worked at. Wendell Davis actually worked at Bowater when he was elected.
I met Wendell.
Back in these days, now you didn't have to have any qualifications as far
No,
as
that's
the law enforcement.
that's what
experience
Charlie
or
was saying.
anything. You just run for shit.
He said he was already trained.
Yes.
But then Sam was next.
And
No?
Jarvis Gibson just stepped in when Wendell Davis left office. He resigned, and I think Wendell went to the city police chief in Athens, and then Jarvis Gibson fulfilled that term.
And then
Bill Gibson was elected in 1972. He actually beat my daddy by 200 votes in 1972 election. And then my daddy Lamar Lawson came back and beat him by 200 votes in the next election.
wonder why.
You get all kind of.
Now, did
you
they
know,
have?
I don't know.
Did he have
They-
these same problems that you have, or was he not dealing with such a magnitude?
Such a magnitude. I'm sure he had the same problem on a lower scale. Does that make sense?
It was the magnitude,
Yes.
and he
Somebody-
didn't have the federal jail.
No.
I mean, you take away 250 inmates.
Probably a maximum of 50 inmates.
Yeah, so that's a big difference.
Yes. Did Dewey Chastain, when my
I
dad
knew
died
Dewey.
in office, Dewey
I knew.
assumed
I went
office.
to school with his boy, Dewey.
Chris-
They called him Dewey.
Robert
Robert?
was detective at the county. With the city, was patrolman and detective. Investigated the during the time, if you remember the Militia Gibson case,
I remember that.
and also the Cleveland Mall murder, where they killed the
is
general. He was the prosecutor of both those cases.
Now that guy-
Robert was elected sheriff when he was 28. 28 years old.
28.
28.
Now the guy that got killed in the mall.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
What, is he still in jail?
I would say. My guess is yes, but I don't remember the name. And then Dan Gilley served as the longest serving sheriff in Bradley County.
The longest serving, 1986 to 2006.
Yeah, 20 years.
That's not that long for it to be the record, is it?
And
Tim Gobble, my
Tim
cousin.
Gobble, I was
Yeah.
Criminal Investigations Division captain under Tim, and Tim is a good guy, just a good all-around guy. Sometimes you have to calm him down. He knows I told him that before. But
He's easy.
back down
He's
his
easy
common
to
sense,
calm down.
Don't get
isn't
all tore up. And,
Yeah.
It's fine. Jim Ruth.
Jim Ruth.
Yes, he's a good fellow. Jim Ruth is my friend. He actually is still involved to a degree. He'll come to the office every once in a while. He's involved in prison ministry work, jail ministry. And then Eric Watson was the sheriff that I took over.
4 years. He gave me a Tennessee legislative book, I remember.
Yes.
And
So-
then who we got next?
And then you got.
Then we got you.
I guess you got me. I don't know whether you got my picture up there or not, but that's
You know,
where we stand.
It's being the sheriff is probably, would you say it's the most important job in Bradley County, or would you say it's the district attorney?
You have to work hand in hand, and we do that. The DA's office overall works with us good. You're never going to agree on everything.
No,
in
that
life.
would be.
We don't agree on everything in life, nor do we agree on everything, but we proceed on. If we disagree on something, let's disagree on it and move on. Does that make sense?
Sure, because you can't.
But I think everybody around here respects each other. The people we have in office, the way it works here, not many places work like we do. Because I can guarantee you, if you go to a bigger city, maybe south of us, they don't work here like we do. We work together. If Mark Gibson calls me tonight and they're in the city and needs help, and he needs my SWAT team, they're gone. If we need, or vice versa. So, and I think it's the same way with the district attorney's office, General Crump, and all those people. We're a phone call away, and we work together, and we're always going to have problems. You're going to run up on a problem that you have to address, whether it's internally with my employees, whether it's outside, or whether it's something I just have to deal with. The only thing that you can do is look at that situation and be fair, but we work well together, and I think the community sees that.
Do you think it would be a lot easier for you to be a city police chief? He has a lesser job.
Let me tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Mark's probably let you have, because you know why? The jail. I take all their prisoners. They don't
That's
have a jail.
the problem.
I take all the prisoners.
It's like you're taking all the students.
Yes.
It's like you're running the school, but you're taking all the students.
We have to tend to all that, and that's what makes it tough. And many people say, "Boy, it'd be a good job if you didn't have that jail." Well, you'd still address problems, but you probably wouldn't have to address as many.
Yeah.
However, I'm blessed to have a job. I know that, and somebody has to do it. Why not me? Because I like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge.
Now you said you're going to the funeral home. Who died?
Odell.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I got to go by there and see him. He served the county for years.
For a long time.
He retired from the phone company.
From
for a
phone
year.
company.
Time passes us by, and we see so many people that we've been around our lives, and you wonder, what's down the road. Nothing in life is guaranteed.
Do you ever see people, and I won't name any names, but you see people that have come to Cleveland and they've been here for 10, 15 years or something, and sure, this is as much town as theirs as is ours. Sure. But you think to yourself, you just think you know Cleveland. I know Cleveland.
Oh, you do.
Because we've been here our whole life.
We have.
Did you play ball at Fulbright?
Sure, we did. Played on the Crackers. I was on the.
You was on the Crackers?
Yeah.
On the Pony League?
Yeah. I know. I started in Dixie U. But I had coaches all along the way, and got to know all those people.
Corky Whitlock.
Yeah, Callahan was my first coach, Harold Callahan, and then Paul Dowdy coached me.
Were you on the T-ball teams?
No T-ball, just straight into baseball for me. But then we stayed on that team in Little League before Pony League. Little League, we stayed on that team for years.
Yeah.
Because I was on the All-Stars of Southern League. We never won. I mean,
Yeah, I remember. They
I was on
always had the Southern League. Yeah.
The Barons, the Pails, the Crackers.
The Pails.
whoever
Yeah, I
was there.
remember that. The Pails.
But you remember all those days and how times have changed.
Do you remember
since those
standing
days.
in line getting a suicide?
Oh yeah. Suicide. Suicide
We didn't
was a
even.
big thing.
It was one of everything, wasn't it?
Jim Clark out there then.
Yeah, I think
Jim
so.
Clark.
Yeah.
Jim Clark run it a lot to the ballpark.
You know, those people, looking back, they spent years at the concession stand
Yes.
or in the announcement stand. And I don't mean 2 or 3 years. I mean,
Oh.
that was their calling.
Long time. People were dedicated to the community, and you can just about pick them out as we grew up and noticed what people did in the community. And no notoriety. I mean, they didn't want any focus on them.
No.
They just went and done a job. And that's what they done. And you'd always think back at all the things that we've been through in life and all the even sports we played or events we've been around. There's people today that stick out in my mind. He was in charge of that, but his name is not in the headlines. Does that make sense? to
Oh,
you?
does it? I could
that's
write a
the
book
people-
about those people.
That's the people we ought to really be admiring.
I could write a book about those people.
But
And you know, it may just mean something to me, but not to somebody else.
yeah, but you noticed it. If I noticed it as a kid growing up, it's probably true.
I remember some people at church would always, certain things they did every week. You always, and looking back, you say this person was dedicated to that.
Yeah.
But now, what's the point as we get to be a bigger city? Are the people different, or if you drive to Etowah? I mean, we're 20 minutes from the big metropolis of Chattanooga to being a nobody.
I noticed that all the time. I mean,
20 minutes
If you
and you're-
notice when they shot our dog.
Oh yeah, the dog. Yeah.
I mean, we have those people coming up here, and you always thought the bigger cities is going to bleed over onto us when you get closer and closer to them, and crime does too. And if you leave your car unlocked and you live in a neighborhood, you better lock it because they're going to come through one night and get in.
Right, one night.
Yeah, and we're lucky enough to get some of them, but then we have to process everything in the world and try to figure out who it is, and they're tough to catch because they'll steal a car down there, come up here and do their business, and steal one up here, and people will leave their keys in the car and do it.
Get on the interstate,
listen.
and in 30 minutes,
Be
they're
gone.
on the other side of
Be gone.
Chattanooga.
Yes. So we combat that, and that's one of our biggest crimes, I would think. And we got to pay attention who's running the roads at night. So if you're in a neighborhood and you get stopped at 2 in the morning,
Nothing
believe
good
me, I've got
happens.
them watching and what? No.
What's
My
the old
daddy always
saying?
told me nothing good happened 2 in the morning.
I always heard it was 4.
Well, it could be 4 too. Mine had different rules.
Well,
I guess,
maybe he
too.
was on that. Maybe he didn't fall backwards.
He may not have. Maybe he didn't move his clock for years. Maybe it kept going.
What do you see as far as? Do you look forward to tomorrow morning?
Yeah. If we ever quit looking forward to tomorrow morning and enjoying, it's time for me to get out. And I said, as long as I enjoy this job and I'm able to address it and look forward to going in and doing the job, then I'm in good shape. If I ever get to a point where I don't, it's time for me to go.
Do you ever think? Can you think of 3 people that you work with that if they knew how much they meant to you, you couldn't afford them?
Yeah. Yeah.
We can't even mention their names.
No. But there's certain people stick out.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I said about the ballparks a few minutes ago?
That's what
Even though maybe they're not even up in rankings, but I noticed those people and how they work. I noticed your work.
That's right.
I'll mention this one kid. Had this kid grew up in corrections, put himself through the academy. He went to other agencies were approaching him because he's slick. He's good. So you walk in, his shoes are shined. He's a former Marine. And then I noticed some things about him. And the night the dog got shot, he's the one who picked that dog up and run it all the way out, and he never let up. You know why? Because I watched the body camera. He never let up, never gasped. He gone. And then a few nights, and I didn't think anything about it. A few nights later, they said, Sheriff, he caught one over here on the Grit House up on Airport Hill there, breaking in last night. He walks right up to him. I watched the body camera. He's got him. I mean, you notice people that are really on top of their game.
It's hard to hide that.
Yes, it is. And I try to pay attention to those people who really go above and beyond serving this county. Because that's what they do. It's not, they don't do it for the money. Don't think that Whirlpool or Peyton's or some industries advertising for a whole lot more money than we pay. Well, we got to get competitive.
They're the Corky Whitlocks of this era.
Yes, we got to get competitive. Got to keep the good people, those people that we notice why are the crime stats so good, why are we wanting to keep them. That's why we want to keep them. Because they're trained and they're good, and just be reasonable and come up with a plan, and I think we will work with the county commission and the mayor in the future to come up with a plan. We've worked together well. We got a lot of things done. We've got officer safety, a lot of things done. We've got the building being fixed. It's your building, like I said, and we're getting things done.
I know if I was on it, I'd be voting for you.
Well,
Whatever you need.
Let's be realistic. I'm not coming with anything unrealistic. I understand I represent every taxpayer in this county as well as the employees at the sheriff's office. You know, that balancing act, you got to make sure that you're right when you go with it.
You need to be worrying about the other stuff and not this stuff. Because what the sheriff is supposed to do.
Well, yes, back in you're talking back in the Mayberry days.
Yeah, back in Mayberry.
But the thing about it is, it's come to when you have, like I said, an $18 million budget. You've got to pay attention to those numbers, where we at, and I try to be reasonable with my folks. And even when we prepare the budget, the sheriff's office, I take my captains and I say, put it together for your division and bring it to me. And then I make the cuts, what needs to be made within, because I got to be reasonable. And I really want to get what we need, but then I want to carry on and be reasonable to the taxpayers. And before it goes to the commission or the mayor, I want to feel good about what we're presenting. I always say that if I'm going to stand in front of the commission, mayor, and sell a product, I really got to feel good about what I'm selling.
Yeah, and they might ask a question. You got to know about all of that.
I just got to make sure that I'm educated and know what I'm selling, feel good about what the product that we're selling.
How many people will be at the Justice Center tomorrow?
Well,
They've got the judges, the Gayla Miller's office.
I can go back up in here, and I stay between employees around the clock. Okay, we have between 210 and 220, and then you have the people coming in sessions court. So you have your day shift there. So you probably on a big sessions day, if you got criminal court going on, you could have 300 or 400 people over there.
I went over there for a speeding ticket here a while back, and
Speeding ticket?
Yeah, speeding ticket. And it was I got it beat though, because I was innocent.
They always are.
Yeah, always
are. Yeah.
Steve, I tell you what, you've been a good friend of mine.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it.
You need to talk to me.